Good evening and welcome to tonight's regional news. We start with a story coming out of Trinidad and Tobago. Women and girls in Trinidad and Tobago cannot walk the streets without being harassed by dirty men with foul mouths who brazenly make offensive comments which can range from compliments to explicit remarks about female genitalia. Street harassment is a form of gender-based violence (GBV), and although it may be a cultural norm for inappropriate comments to be hurled at women on the streets, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean (ECLAC) has started a national conversation to educate men, boys, and the population at large that this is not right and it must stop. Amelia Bleeker, ECLAC's Associate Program Management Officer, said the campaign will focus specifically on street harassment and will also involve going into 30 secondary schools nationwide to educate students about GBV. Bleeker said she spoke to women and girls in Trinidad, and the general consensus is that the streets are unsafe. Catcalling may be a norm everywhere where women walk, but Bleeker said accepting this is creating a fertile ground which fuels other forms of GBV, like rape and sexual assaults. GBV, she said, exists on a broad spectrum, with street harassment sitting at its lower end and sexual assault, rape, and murder being its most severe forms. It can cause significant harm, including long-term injury to physical, mental, and emotional health, and in most extreme cases, death. And now we turn to Dominica. Residents of Dominica cast ballots for a new parliament on Friday following weeks of political unrest, and early returns indicated a landslide victory for the governing Dominica Labour Party. Preliminary results released by the Dominica Electoral Office showed the party of Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett winning 18 of the Caribbean nation's 21 legislative seats, giving it an unprecedented fifth term in power. Voting was held under heightened security following weeks of protests and legal challenges seeking electoral reform. Security forces from neighboring islands were brought in to maintain peace on Dominica, a former French and British colony of about 75,000 people. The opposition United Workers' Party lost 3 of its 6 seats. One of those was won by Melissa Scarrett, the Prime Minister's wife. Opposition supporters had demanded more rigorous checking of voter registrations and to prohibit expatriate Dominican citizens returning to vote. The opposition has accused the government of buying voters by providing supporters with tickets home around election time. And finally, in Jamaica, the Miss Jamaica Universe organization is being hammered on social media sites for its use of the infamous White Witch of Rose Hall, Annie Palmer, as the country's national costume at the Miss Universe pageant being held in Atlanta, Georgia. The diamond-feathered costume was worn by the island's representative Ayana Tickle Garcia at Friday night's national costume competition. Miss Jamaica Universe, through its official Instagram and Facebook accounts, posted photographs on Saturday morning which showcased Garcia wearing the costume designed by Yuzuri International. Dubbed the White Witch of Rose Hall, local folk legend has it that Annie Palmer ruled the 18th century plantation with an iron fist and drove fear into the hearts of loved ones and enemies alike, stated a caption accompanying the photographs. The reactions to the costume have been mixed across all social media outlets. On Facebook, one user, Laurel Bryan, commented, "Beautiful. Finally, Jamaica is so rich in culture and it should incorporate every story." However, Travis Dre, another Facebook user, had a different opinion and wrote, "Am I the only one in the comments that thinks dressing up as a slave owner is a horrible idea? How is it rich in culture?" Similar opinions were expressed on Twitter to the use of the depiction of Annie Palmer, who it is alleged murdered several of her slaves as Jamaica's national costume at the Miss Universe contest. The Miss Jamaica Universe organization is yet to react to the ongoing public backlash. And that was all for tonight's regional news. As always, thank you for joining. Back to you, Handel.